Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and time for our viewer queries. We have our experts today. We have Kunal Bothra as well as Vikas Sethi joining us. Good morning to you, Kunal, once again, as well as good morning to you, Mr. Vikas Sethi. So glad to have you both on the show with us. But first, let me come to you, Kunal, before we kickstart with the queries, to understand the market setup looking like. How is it looking like today? We've seen a small bounce. Is something to be happy about? Will it sustain going ahead? I know it's difficult to actually gauge the market like this, but given the volatility that we are in, but how is the markets looking like to you now?
Good morning, Cheryl. So, yeah, I think it's something to, of course, be, a bit more, I would say, cheerful about, because after almost 5-6 days of consistent bout of correction, whether it's the gap down opening or from the intraday highs where the indices used to correct, especially in the last half an hour, last 1 hour or so, I think this comes out as a more of a relief rally. But then one has to take it with a pinch of salt, because these relief rallies, even if they would come, quite often over the next, few days, at least over the next 1 or 2 weeks, I believe would probably have a different, tinge towards it. My sense is that a lot of portfolios would get adjusted into, this kind of a market rally. The stabilization part would probably come a bit more later. So one has to try and look out for more signals the markets are throwing, whether it's the large caps buying, more defensive based buying, which the market is tilting towards, or whether it's short covering, which is actually looking, a bit more, less prevalent, at least as of now. So I think that would probably determine that whether we just about build up to this rally, or we go into a phase of very mild pause on the indices, just skirting on the 16,000 mark. So maybe over the next 3-4 days of price action is where we could probably decipher the actual meaning of this rally. But nevertheless, 16,000 could actually turn out to be a good pivot point for the Nifty over the very near term.
Right, so that's the view coming in from Kunal on the markets. But let's kickstart with the queries then. And the first one we've got is from Santi, and it's on Wellspun India. The stock is corrected over 100 rupees and the current market price is around 65 even after good results. Santi is holding about 100 shares of Wellspun India, purchased at 65 rupees, but unable to find any reasons for such sort of a correction to come in the counter, saying that maybe it is due to global markets. So wants to understand what are the strengths and the weaknesses of the company, and does it make sense to stay put with this one? What's your take, Vikas?
Yeah, Cyril, as far as Wellspun India is concerned, the stock has corrected sharply over the last few months. But the good part is the investor has bought it at a price closer to the current market price, so she's not sitting on losses that way. But I think from the current levels, the stock should do well. It comes from the textile space, and I've been bullish on the textile sector because of the 2-3 factors which have been playing for the sector. The China Plus One strategy adopted by international brands, and then the PLI scheme which was given by the government, and even the crisis in Sri Lanka, which is a major textile exporter. I think that would augur well for textile sector, and I think from here on the stock should do well. So I would maintain a hold on the stock at the current levels.
Hi Vikas, good morning to you. We've got a question coming in from Karthik. He's writing in from Chennai. He's asking about IndiaMart Intermesh, which he bought at levels of 5,005 rupees. And he's asking whether it can be accumulated at the current level. It's at 4340. It's up about 3% in trade today. But I guess he's asking for the long term, can he accumulate because the prices have corrected?
Alex, these kind of stocks have not been doing well of late, because we've seen most of the new age businesses have not been doing well, and they've been beaten down badly. But from here on, after the post-sharp correction which most of these stocks have seen, I think there could be some upside. So at the current levels, I would maintain a hold for whatever investment he or she has already made. But as far as buying new is concerned, I think he or she should look at some other sectors which I think are offering better opportunities.
Right, this one is from Archel, and Archel is saying that she has MCX. She purchased the price of around 1,400 rupees per share. She's a long-term investor, but wants to know whether the stock can now reach her buying price and whether she should look to average at current levels. What's your take on this one, Kunal? MCX 1,400 is the buy price.
See, it's been a very disappointing chart, I would say, over the last, maybe 2.5 odd years. I've seen the stock getting into the phase of rallies as well, trying to hit that 2,000 mark, I think, last year somewhere. And, from there, the stock has been a big struggler. So every time the stock gets into a rally phase, the rally is quite sharp, quite swift, but very short-lived as well. And you've seen the downtrend being more persistent into stock like MCX. So that's not something which you would want to have as part of your core portfolio as well. So I would suggest that wait out for maybe a few weeks or a couple of months. If the stock comes back towards, say, even 80, 1300 plus levels, that could be a good zone where you can look to exit and shift towards quality large caps.
Okay. Speaking of quality large caps, this is a question coming in from Hariharan. He's writing in from Trivandrum. Kunal, this one's for you. A couple of banks here. One is Federal Bank and the other is Axis Bank. He's asking at this juncture which would be considered better for a 2-year perspective.
So I think Axis Bank would actually turn out to be a much better bet purely in terms of charts. Now I understand that the stock has also gone through a more sort of a sharper selling as compared to the other private sector bank names. But when I look at the charts, and I'm talking of it over the last 10 years or 8 years, 10 years of chart patterns, and Axis Bank has come back towards a major support point. 650, 600 has been a huge support point for Axis Bank over the last so many years, and we've seen the stock bounce back quite sharply from those levels. So if you're bullish on banking back, I think Axis Bank would actually turn out to be a good risk-reward play at current levels.
Right, this one is from Natarajan Ramesh, and he's saying that he has 230 shares of Kajaria Ceramics purchased at 1,191 rupees per share. He wants to know how does this particular counter look like on the fundamentals for a horizon of about 2 years. What's your take on this one, Vikas? How does Kajaria Ceramics look to you?
Bullish on this counter. I like the home building material segment. Stocks have been beaten down off late, but I think the sector is doing well. And with the kind of demand which is being witnessed by the real estate sector, the housing sector, and the government also focusing on that, I think most of these building material companies are offering a very good opportunity for long-term investors to buy after the recent correction. The stock has also corrected. The investors bought it at a bit higher price and is sitting on some losses. But I think since he or she has a time frame of 2 years, I don't think there's any need to worry. And I would add to it that at the current levels, the stock can be bought also from a 2 years perspective.
We've got a question on IRCTC, and this one is coming from Naresh. He's asking whether it can be bought at the current price. Kunal, one of the stocks that has gotten beaten quite a bit in the recent past. Is it a buy though at this price?
Well, I would suggest yes. The indicators are at an extremely oversold point for IRCTC, and I would look at it in the span that the last 12-15 months has been quite crucial for IRCTC. The stock, which was almost at 450, 500 levels, with the adjusted prices, moved up to 1200, and from 1200 the stock is back towards 600, 650. So it's almost completed an entire mean reversion in that regards, and the stock has now come back towards an oversold territories on indicators, which makes it a good a risk-reward buy at current levels. So the stock may take some time to bottom out, but I think if you can buy in probably 2 or 3 stages starting from current levels, it could actually turn out to be a good place, provided your time horizon is at least 2 to 3 years.
Right, this one is coming in from Indumati, and she's asking, is there any technical view on sugar stocks and whether some of them will bounce back when the markets actually bounce back? And also if she was looking at a Dwarikesh sugar, that's one of the counters that she's interested in. But if not Dwarikesh, then which other sugar counters do you think will look good, Kunal?
So I think the 2 stocks from the sugar pack, Dwarikesh and Balram, is something which I believe look very attractive on the charts. But the only concern is, with the timing of this investment or trade, because, the markets are now going to a cycle where there is a lot of risk aversion which is happening. Sugar stocks, if you look at the last 5 years of charts, you look at the prior cycles for sugar stocks as well, they tend to do pretty well when the market sentiment is quite strong, when there is a risk on more from the markets. But when there is a withdrawal of risk which happens, that's where these high beta sectors and stocks, they tend to get into a downward trend for themselves. So it's just with the timing aspect of the investment. But if you're looking at buying sugar stocks, then I think Balrampur Chini as well as Dwarikesh are the 2 names which you should look to bet upon. Okay,
I'm taking Aarti's question. Aarti has asked about Apcotex India. Apcotex Industries as opposed to Elecon. I'm hoping, Vikas, that you have some view on at least one of them. Is this a good buy for the long term?
Industries is concerned, it's a fundamentally good company. It's a group company of the Asian Paints Group. The company is doing well and it's into some rubber chemicals, if I'm not mistaken. This company, I think at the current levels after the recent correction, the stock can be bought from a long-term point of view.
Right. This one is coming in from Amy, and she wants a view on HDFC Bank, Kunal. She wants to know whether 1250 is a good area to start accumulating it.
Well, I think you can start at current levels, in fact, at 1300, because even though the stock is an underperformer, and I would probably expect that the stock would remain an underperformer for at least maybe another couple of months. But the fact that the stock has now reduced its volatility on the downside, it's not too much succumbed to the selling pressure of the markets. And in the last 1 week, the stock has somehow gotten a bit more sideways. So which means that 1250, 1350 mark could actually be a range for HDFC Bank, at least from a near-term perspective. So if you can try and buy the stock or accumulate at every kind of a minor dips along this consolidation, that could actually turn out to be a better play.
Okay. Pratiksha has got a question for you, Vikas, and this one's CRISIL and Sumitomo Chemicals. I believe she's holding on to both of them, but I do not know what her buy price is. She's wondering whether they can be averaged at the current price. She intends to hold these for the long term.
Yeah, Alex, both the companies are fundamentally great companies. CRISIL is, as far as CRISIL is concerned, it's the market leader in the rating sector.
Let me please clarify, this is not CRISIL, this is CRISIL, ACRY.
Sorry.
Yeah.
CRISIL. Again, that's a good company which is there on my radar. It's into kitchen appliances and it's a market leader in that segment. And I'm bullish on this stock. As I was discussing earlier, with the demand being witnessed in the housing sector, I think this kind of company should do well. And the stock has also corrected from its recent highs, and there are several renowned investors invested in this stock. I think one should be holding on to this, and one should be looking for opportunities to buy into this stock at every fall. And the other stock which was Sumitomo Chemical. That is one of my favorite stocks. It's a multinational company owned by a Japanese parent, and it used to be, I think in this company, Excel Crop Care was merged recently, and now it's become a big company in the crop care and agri-chemical segment. I'm bullish on the segment. This company enjoys a dominant market share in the segment. And I think with the international prices of agri-chemicals going up, this company also will do well. So after the recent correction, this is also presenting a good opportunity for long-term investors to buy into the stock.
Right. Kunal, this query is coming in from Amit. He's writing to us from Delhi, and he wants to know whether Lakshmi Organics can be added at current market price. What's your take?
So the only catch over here is the liquidity, which is a bit more dry. I think the average trading volumes at many days have been just about some few paltry thousands, maybe for 20,000, 30,000 as an average volume. So that's a bit of a tricky situation, because trying to exit the stock in such kind of market scenario becomes a lot of hassle as such. But in terms of price structure, the last 6-7 months, I think this is where the stock has gotten a lot more sideways, from correcting from 600 levels to 330 or 340, where the stock is currently trading. So price-wise, good levels, but the only catch, as I said, is the dearth of liquidity.
Okay, speaking of dearth of liquidity, I'm going to ask you if you have a view, Kunal, on Infibeam Avenues. The stock is currently trading at just about 14 rupees. And I know that it's 3,640 odd crore in market cap. We've got a question coming from Kunal Thakkar, and he's asking whether you have a long-term target that you can give.
I would say completely avoid investing into these kind of names.
Right. Moving on, this one is for you, Vikas. This one is coming from Samir Jana, and he is looking forward to accumulate Tata Coffee with the view given that the merger with Tata Consumer. So he wants to know, will it be profitable? Does it make sense to make this move of going ahead and accumulating Tata Coffee in light with that merger with Tata Consumer?
Sorry, I do not exactly remember the merger ratio between the two companies, but now that it is known to the market, there would not be any arbitrage opportunities as such. But when you invest in Tata Coffee now, it would eventually get merged into Tata Consumer. But I think Tata Consumer would continue to do well. I am bullish on the stock from a long-term point of view, and would recommend investing into Tata Coffee or Tata Consumer, as the case may be. They could look at the merger ratio and then decide for themselves which stock to buy.
I'm going to ask you this. We've got a question coming in from Suresh Babu, and he's asking about Indocount Industries Limited. This one's for you, Vikas. It's currently trading down about 3% at 141 or thereabouts. If you have a view, would you suggest that he can hold on? He's got levels at levels of 178.
Yeah, it's a great company to own from the textile space. It's into home textiles and enjoys a dominant 20% market share in the US market for bed sheets. This company, since the stock went up yesterday, it went up by around 15-16% yesterday. So we are seeing some correction of about 3% today. But with the kind of results which have been coming in from textile companies, yesterday we'd seen Nathan Spinners declaring very impressive set of numbers. And I think the sector is really enjoying the positives from China Plus One strategy being adopted by international brands, then the PLI scheme, which has been introduced by the government, and the crisis in Sri Lanka, which is a major exporter of textiles. I think Indo-Continental Industries, which is a major exporter, should do well. So I remain bullish on the stock, and the current levels are good levels to enter into the stock. And I'm sure the investor would see his price in the next, say, 3 to 6 months on this stock.
All right, this one also is for you, Vikas. This one is coming from Venkateshwaran. He's saying that the PNB is quoting at 40% less of book value. He's asking whether he can look to enter into this counter right now with a 3-year perspective.
I think if one were to invest in a PSU bank from a 3-year perspective, I think it would be better to invest in a State Bank of India at the current levels. PNB came out with pretty disappointing set of numbers yesterday, and the stock has been beaten down off late, although it's doing well today because it had corrected sharply over the last couple of days. But I think the kind of results which the company has been, which the bank has been reporting, it's better to go with State Bank of India if one wants to invest for 2 years.
Gentlemen, it's time to hit the rapid fire segment. Both of you are familiar with this, so I'm going to just kick start it. The first one's for you, Kunal. Relaxo Footwear is the name of the counter. We've got a question coming in from Sudha, and she's asking for a perspective for the next 6 months. At what price can she consider entering?
So I think current price could be a good enough level. 975 to 1000, 1020 is a good support band for Relaxo, and you can look to start buying at current levels.
All right, this one is from Mangesh, and he's already purchased Hindalco at a price of 580 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should hold or sell. He also wants a medium-term perspective on this one. What's your take, Vikas, on Hindalco?
At the current price, I think he should be holding on to Hindalco. See if the carnage with the stock, and from here on, there should be some expected in the stock.
Vikas, quick view on BSE and Angel One. I think RK Hoja is exited. He's looking to re-enter. Should he consider doing so?
Yeah, both are good stocks and both have corrected, so I think he can enter the company.
All right, this one is coming in from Srinivasan from Chennai. He wants 2 stocks for the next 2 years. Kunal?
Tough one, but I think I would probably stick with Reliance and ITC as 2 more prominent bets, given the kind of market conditions where we are.
Okay. Borosil Renewables, would you hold at the current price is a question. I'll go to you, Vikas, on the fundamentals. Thomas wants to know.
Again, a company from a good sector. It's a fancy sector. The company has been doing well. So I think we should hold on to the stock even after the steep rise which we've seen in the last couple.
Because this one also is for you. This one is for Mubarak. He wants a view on Sigachi Industries for the longer term.
Again, a very good company. When the IPO came, it met with tremendous response. Stock had gone high at 650 rupees and today it's down to 60 at the current level. Short buy.
Last question. This one's for you, Vikas. 2 counters, Tata Power and Zomato. Both are losing significant ground for Rekha. Should she hold on based on the fundamentals for the long term?
Tata Power would be a clear hold. I'm bullish on the stock. As far as Zomato is concerned, I think it's too late to take a call on Zomato. Stock has already crashed. From here on, some that will down. I think one should avoid this kind of company.
Okay. On that note, we have to pull this segment to a close. Unfortunately, we wish we could carry it forward. But gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time, Vikas. Especially, I think a lot of our viewers have benefited from your fundamental advice today. Thank you so much for taking the time and have a lovely Friday. To all the viewers who've written in and not had their questions answered, well, we certainly did try our best to take as many as we possibly could. But don't lose heart. You can write in again on Monday. We'll start taking your queries live at 11:15. Do stay tuned. There's more coming up after this short break.
SEL टाइगर TMT रीबार में ताकत बेमिसाल और इसका एडवांस्ड रिप टेक्नोलॉजी रखे सीमेंट से बॉन्ड सालों साल। इसे कहते हैं बॉन्ड, टाइगर बॉन्ड। इन दीवारों में टाइगर रहता है। SEL टाइगर TMT रीबार।
Delivery Limited now proposes an initial public offer of equity shares. The 100% book build offer is being offered at a price band of Rs 462 to Rs 487 per equity share. Offer opens on Wednesday, May 11, 2022. Offer closes on Friday, May 13, 2022. For risk factors and other details, please refer to the red herring prospectus dated April 30, 2022, which is available on the websites of SEBI, the BRLMs and the stock exchanges.
Let loose with the blues. Titan Fashion Hues.
परफॉर्मर ऑफ द मंथ।
सर वो काफी टाइम से मेरा इंक्रीमेंट पेंडिंग।
इंक्रीमेंट कहाँ भागे जा रहा है? तो सीढ़ी देख रहे हो? इस सीढ़ी के पहले पड़ाव पे हो अभी तुम। कल टॉप पे होंगे। उस कल का इंतजार करो माय बॉय रोहन।
वो कल कभी नहीं आएगा दोस्त। आपकी सही कीमत समझने वाले हमेशा करते हैं सीधी बात, जैसे करता है IIFL फाइनेंस। IIFL गोल्ड लोन, ब्रांच में सोना दो, 5 मिनट में पैसा लो, ज्यादा लोन की रकम, झंझट सबसे कम। IIFL फाइनेंस, सीधी बात।
पापा के जर्म्स, दादी दादू के जर्म्स, मम्मी जब साबुन एक तो उसमें जर्म्स अनेक, इसीलिए अब से सबके लिए अलग अलग साबुन। गोदरेज प्रोटेक्ट मैजिक हैंड वॉश, खोलो घोलो तैयार। इसके हर बूंद में है नया साबुन जो दे दमदार जर्म प्रोटेक्शन। सिर्फ 15 रुपए का रिफिल चले 30 दिनों तक। गोदरेज प्रोटेक्ट मैजिक हैंड वॉश, हर बूंद में नया साबुन।
Captivating, engaging, impactful. The nation's top 10 took notice as the world's leading voices and India's most influential minds came together for the 8th edition of India's landmark economic forum, Times Network India Economic Conclave. The two-day event held at the nation's financial capital Mumbai championed a unique and path-breaking agenda, the Great Indian Democratic Dividend. Get a complete overview of the insightful talks and discussions from IEC 2022 with a series of engaging episodes at these times. Presenting partner IDFC First Bank, always you first. Powered by CoinSwitch, India's largest crypto app. Sustainability partner GE, building a world that works. State partner Government of Chhattisgarh. Associate partner Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Insurance partner LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. E-mobility partner Electra, pioneer in electric mobility in India. For a new day partner Toshiba.
हम ही तो हैं जो भरते हैं इन डिब्बों में नई सोच, अनोखे ख्याल। देश का कल बदलने वाले अब तेज हमारी चाल। हम ही तो हैं देश के नए स्टार्टअप्स, अमेज़न से जुड़े 10 लाख सेलर्स का हिस्सा, जो मिलकर बनाते हैं अमेज़न को इंडिया की अपनी दुकान।
कल आज और कल में देश के हर पल में, कल आज और कल में देश के हर पल में, कभी परछाई बनके